The cadet fired a scanner bolt at her. She caught it midair and said, "Earthborn, try again." Jotaro stood frozen in the training bay, his weapon still smoking from the discharge, staring at the human holding the energy bolt in her bare hand like she'd just caught a tennis ball. The bolt pulsed with contained energy, casting blue light across Charlotte Brown's completely unbothered face as she examined it with mild curiosity. That's physically impossible," Jotaro managed, his translator barely keeping up with his shocked clicking. "Scanner bolts move at relativistic speeds. They're designed to be uncatchable." According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, Charlotte tilted her head, turning the bolt over in her palm. "Do they? Seem pretty slow to me. You want to try again, or—" She laughed, that distinctly human sound that always made the other species uncomfortable. "I mean, if you're going to test my reflexes, you should probably warn me first." From the observation deck 3 stories above, Commandant Korvac slammed his primary manipulator against the alert panel. Emergency protocols activated throughout the sector, bathing the training facility in crimson light. "Evacuate the training bay," he commanded through the intercom, his voice carrying the authority of 40 years military service. "Lock down the sector. Nobody moves until we understand what just happened." The Academy's entire physics department was already receiving automatic alerts about the causality violation detected in Training Bay 7. Scanner bolts traveled at 0.97 light speed. Catching one mid-flight violated at least 6 fundamental laws of physics that the galactic community had established over 3,000 years of scientific research. Chief Medical Officer Lirana burst through the training bay doors, her medical team scrambling behind her with emergency equipment. She'd expected to find a fatality. Scanner bolts at assessment level carried enough energy to punch through combat armor. Instead, she found the human instructor standing casually in the center of the bay, still holding the bolt. "You need to release that immediately," Liriana said, her scanner already deployed and reading impossible data. "The energy contained in that projectile should be burning through your hand. You should be ash." Charlotte glanced down at her palm. "Oh, is this thing supposed to hurt?" "My bad, I thought it was a training thing." She looked at Jotaro with genuine concern. "You weren't actually trying to kill me, were you? Because that would be super awkward." Jotaro's weapon systems were running continuous diagnostics, desperate to find a malfunction that would explain what had just happened. Everything checked out perfectly. "I fired at stun assessment level," he said weakly. It's enough to knock out a battle cruiser." "Huh." Charlotte tossed the bolt gently back to Jotaro, who scrambled backward in panic. "Here, you dropped this." The bolt was still active, still dangerous, still pulsing with enough energy to vaporize anything it touched. Jotaro caught it with his weapon's magnetic recapture system, hands trembling. The bolt should have dissipated on impact. The human should have died. Nothing about this situation followed any known rules. Korvac materialized in the training bay via emergency transport, flanked by a security team with weapons drawn. His 4 eyes focused on Charlotte with the intensity that had made him legendary in the border wars. "What augmentation technology are you using?" he demanded. "What military-grade enhancement allows you to violate causality?" Charlotte blinked at him, genuinely confused. "Augmentation? I'm a gym teacher. I do CrossFit on weekends." She gestured at her completely normal workout attire, just standard athletic wear with a name tag that read, "Charlotte Brown, Exchange Fitness Instructor." "Is this about the bolt?" "Because honestly, I've caught faster things. My nephew throws a mean curveball." Lirana's instruments were screaming warnings, displaying physiological data that made no sense. Charlotte's bone density was comparable to starship armor plating. Her muscle fiber efficiency exceeded theoretical maximums. Her cellular repair systems were operating at speeds that suggested active nanotechnology, except the scans showed it was purely biological. "This is impossible," Lishana whispered, checking her equipment for malfunctions. "Your species file indicates average physical capabilities, slightly above galactic baseline but nothing exceptional." Charlotte shrugged. I mean, I work out regularly, 30 minutes of cardio, some strength training, pretty standard Earth stuff. Korvax made a decision. Jotaro, prepare for a full combat assessment, maximum evaluation level. He turned to Charlotte. If you're claiming this is normal human capability, we need to verify that claim. Sir, Jotaro protested, his voice cracking with stress, maximum assessment level is lethal to most species. She caught a relativistic projectile with her bare hand. Korvax interrupted. I need to know what we're dealing with. He looked at Charlotte. Are you willing to participate in further testing? Charlotte stretched her arms over her head, warming up like she was preparing for a light jog. Sure, I guess. But maybe aim for center mass? Easier to catch that way, she paused, reconsidering. Actually, you know what? Make it challenging. I haven't had a good workout today. Jotaro looked at his weapon, then at his commanding officer, then back at the human who was treating a military combat assessment like a casual gym session. His entire understanding of physics, biology, and military capability was crumbling with every passing second. Begin when ready, Korvax ordered, his voice tight with controlled alarm. Jotaro raised his weapon with trembling hands, adjusted the settings to maximum assessment level, a setting normally reserved for testing armored vehicles, and fired directly at the human's chest. Charlotte caught that bolt too. This time she grunted slightly as the energy discharged against her palm. Okay, that one had some zip to it. She examined the bolt with more interest, turning it over like she was inspecting a particularly interesting rock. What setting was that? Because it definitely felt different from the first one. The entire observation deck had gone silent. Every instructor, every advanced cadet, every visiting military officer stood frozen, watching impossible physics play out in real time. The bolt Charlotte held carried enough energy to vaporize a combat mech. It should have punched through her body, through the wall behind her, and kept going until it hit something substantial enough to absorb its momentum. Lirana's scanner was producing readings that made her question her own equipment. Her cellular structure should be ash, she said aloud, running the scan 3 more times to confirm. She's not even injured. No burns, no tissue damage, not even elevated stress hormones. She looked up at Charlotte with something approaching fear. How are you still alive? Was I supposed to die? Charlotte asked, her tone genuinely concerned. Oh man, is this like a liability thing? Because I signed all those waivers when I took the exchange position. I definitely remember checking the box about voluntary participation in training exercises. Jotaro found his voice, though it came out as a strangled whisper. That was maximum assessment level. That's the setting we use to test whether armored vehicles can withstand direct hits from enemy fire. He gestured weakly at his weapon. It's not supposed to be survivable. Charlotte's eyebrows rose. Oh, well, that's good to know for future reference. She tossed the bolt back to Jotaro casually. Here, you should probably put this away before someone gets hurt. The bolt was still active, still dangerous, still containing enough destructive potential to level a building. Jotaro scrambled to catch it with his weapon's magnetic recapture system, nearly dropping his entire rifle in the process. His hands shook as he safed the weapon and set it down carefully on the ground. Korvax accessed his command interface, pulling up Charlotte's species file. According to our database, humans are rated at 1.2 times galactic baseline for physical capability, slightly above average, comparable to the Vexi or the Toller. He looked at Charlotte, his 4 eyes narrowing. This performance suggests either gross inaccuracy in our data, or you are not a baseline human. I'm pretty baseline, Charlotte said with a laugh. I mean, I teach spin class and occasionally substitute for yoga. That's literally it. She paused. Well, and I coach my niece's soccer team, but that's volunteer work. Lirasana was scrolling through her scans frantically, cross-referencing with every known augmentation technology in the galactic database. Your bone density is 8 times the galactic standard. Your muscle fiber efficiency exceeds theoretical maximums. Your nervous system's signal transmission speed
She trailed off, recalculating. Your reaction time is approximately 40 times faster than galactic average.
Is that unusual? Charlotte asked, stretching her neck to one side until it popped. Because I'm definitely not the fastest person at my gym back home. There's this guy Jerry who does these insane parkour routines. Now he's got reflexes. Korvax felt a cold certainty settling into his gut, the same feeling he'd had during the war when intelligence reports revealed the enemy had developed planet-killer weapons. We need to conduct a comprehensive assessment. He turned to Jotaro. Run a full combat simulation, all weapon types, all assessment levels. I want to know the limits of human capability. Jotaro looked like he was about to protest, but Korvax's expression stopped him. The cadet picked up his weapon with shaking hands, selected the combat simulation protocol, and looked at Charlotte with something approaching apology. Don't worry, Charlotte said cheerfully. I'm sure it'll be fine, though maybe we should move to a bigger room. I tend to be pretty mobile during workouts. Over the next 15 minutes, Jotaro fired every type of projectile the training system could generate. Plasma bolts, kinetic rounds, energy beams, pulse bursts, all at maximum assessment levels that would normally require evacuation of the entire sector. Charlotte caught some, dodged others with casual grace, and deflected a few with what appeared to be precise timing rather than any kind of protective field. Between attacks, she offered helpful fitness advice. Your stance is off, she called to Jotaro after dodging a cluster of plasma bolts. You're too rigid. Bend more at the knees. Keep your core engaged. You'll have better accuracy and you won't throw your back out. Jotaro's worldview was cracking like ice under stress. I've trained for 6 years, he said, his voice hollow. I'm top of my tactical class. I'm certified in 17 weapon systems. He gestured at Charlotte, who was currently examining her nails while standing in the center of what should have been a kill zone. You're catching military-grade weapons like they're playground balls. Well, yeah, reflexes are important, Charlotte agreed. Do you guys do any reaction drills? Because I've got some great exercises that really help with hand-eye coordination. We could set up a schedule if you want. Lirana was no longer looking at her scanner. She was looking at Charlotte with the expression of someone watching their understanding of biology dissolve. This isn't augmentation, she said quietly. This is baseline human physiology. She pulled up Earth's environmental data and her scales paled. Your planet's gravity is 1.4 times galactic standard. Your atmospheric pressure is classified as extreme by our metrics, your evolutionary history. She stopped, scrolling faster. You evolved as persistence predators. Your species literally ran prey animals to death across impossible distances. Yeah, humans are pretty good at not giving up, Charlotte said with a grin. It's kind of our thing. Korvax accessed his command override, establishing a direct connection to Galactic Military High Command. This is Commandant Korvax at the Academy. I need immediate counsel with the Strategic Assessment Division. We have a Class 7 capability discrepancy. He paused, watching Charlotte casually deflect 3 simultaneous plasma bolts while chatting with Jotaro about proper breathing techniques. Correction. Class 9 discrepancy. Possibly higher. The response came within seconds. Council member Zilax materialized via hologram, his expression already set to crisis management. Commandant, your report indicates a human is withstanding maximum assessment protocols. Please confirm this isn't a simulation error. I wish it were, Korvax said grimly. He gestured to the training bay below, where Charlotte had just caught another scanner bolt one-handed while adjusting her ponytail with the other hand. She's been at this for 15 minutes. No signs of fatigue, no protective equipment, no augmentation we can detect. She treats military-grade weapons fire like a casual workout. Zilax watched the feed in silence for 30 seconds. The human is catching energy bolts? Among other things. Korvax pulled up Lirana's medical data. Her physiology reads like a prototype super soldier, except it's entirely biological. No cybernetics, no genetic modification, no enhancement technology. This is baseline human capability. On the training floor, Charlotte had started jogging lightly between catching projectiles, as if the exercise wasn't challenging enough. "Jotaro, you're telegraphing your shots," she called out helpfully. "I can see where you're aiming before you fire. Try to keep your weapon movement more fluid. It'll help with surprise attacks." Jotaro had stopped listening to tactical advice approximately 10 minutes ago. His training protocols demanded he treat every assessment with professional rigor, but professional rigor didn't account for targets who offered coaching tips while tanking shots that could destroy armored vehicles. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered, running another diagnostic on his weapon systems. "Nothing about this makes sense." Lirana approached Korvax, her medical tablet clutched like a lifeline to sanity. "I've completed a full biometric analysis. Her bone density is comparable to Starship armor plating. Not similar, comparable. Her muscle fiber efficiency exceeds anything in the galactic database by a factor of 12. She scrolled through more data, her voice growing quieter with each revelation. "Her cellular repair systems work so fast, I initially thought they were nanomachines. They're not. That's just how human cells function." "How is that possible?" Zilax demanded from the hologram. "No natural evolutionary process produces that level of capability. The energy requirements alone—" "Earth's evolutionary environment," Lirana interrupted, pulling up planetary data. "Gravity, 1.4 times galactic standard. Atmospheric composition that would be toxic to most species. Predator-prey dynamics that favored endurance over almost everything else." She looked up at the council member. "Humans didn't evolve to be comfortable. They evolved to survive a death world." Charlotte had noticed the hologram and waved cheerfully. "Oh, hi. Are you here to observe too? I can dial it back if this is too intense. I know not everyone's into high-intensity training." Zilax stared at her. "You consider this training?" "Well, yeah." Charlotte caught another bolt, barely glancing at it. "It's good cardio, plus the reflexes work is excellent. Though honestly, if you want a real challenge, you should try my HIT class back on Earth. Now that'll make you sweat." Korvax felt something cold settle in his chest, the realization that had been building since Charlotte first caught the impossible projectile. "Council member, we need to recalibrate our entire threat assessment for humanity. If this is their baseline, if their fitness instructors can withstand our military-grade weapons—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. "Are you suggesting humans represent a military threat?" Zilax asked carefully. "I'm suggesting we don't know what they represent," Korvax replied. "Our first contact protocols assumed rough parity with other species. We never considered—" He gestured at Charlotte, who was now doing lunges between catching projectiles. "We never considered this." Jotaro had switched to rapid-fire mode, desperately hoping that volume might succeed where power had failed. Charlotte moved through the hail of energy bolts like she was dancing, her movements efficient and precise. When 3 bolts converged on her position simultaneously, she dropped into a roll that would have impressed any combat instructor, came up smoothly, and caught all 3 in sequence. "Nice grouping," she called to Jotaro. "That's way better. See what happens when you relax your shoulders?" The cadet's weapon clattered to the ground. He stood there, arms at his sides, staring at nothing. "I don't understand anymore," he said to no one in particular. "What's the point of training if humans exist?" Charlotte's expression shifted to genuine concern. She walked over to Jotaro, casually, like she hadn't just tanked enough firepower to level a city block, and put a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Hey, don't think like that. You're doing great. Your accuracy improved significantly over the last few minutes." She smiled encouragingly. "Everyone's got different strengths. You're probably way better at tactics and strategy than I am. I just teach people how to stay in shape." Lirana's scanner chose that moment to alert her to something new. She checked the readings twice, then 3 times, then put the scanner down and rubbed her eyes. "Her heart rate is elevated," she announced, "by approximately 15%. Korvax turned sharply. "That's it? 15%. That's equivalent to a light jog for her species." Lirana pulled up comparative data. Any other species would be in cardiac arrest. She's barely winded. The doctor looked at Charlotte with something between awe and terror. What do you people do for actual exercise? Charlotte laughed. Oh, running, weight training, swimming, rock climbing. I'm training for a triathlon next month, actually. Well, if I'm back on Earth by then. Otherwise, I'll have to find a local pool. She looked around the training bay hopefully. You guys have a pool here, right? Zilax's hologram flickered as he processed what he'd witnessed. Commandant, I need comprehensive documentation, full video evidence, biometric data, everything. His voice carried the careful tone of someone making decisions that would ripple across the entire galactic community. If this represents standard human capability, we need to revise every protocol we have for Earth relations. Understood, Council Member. Korvax turned to Charlotte. Would you be willing to demonstrate your normal fitness routine? What you would do on a typical day? Oh, sure, Charlotte brightened immediately. I usually do about an hour in the morning before work. Let me grab some weights. She walked over to the training bay's equipment rack and selected what the Academy classified as advanced strength conditioning weights, each one massing approximately 80 kilograms. She held one in each hand like they were dumbbells. These should work for warm-up. Jotaro made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Charlotte proceeded to demonstrate her basic routine, 20 minutes of what she called light cardio at a pace that matched the Academy's sprint trial records. Her warm-up lifts exceeded the strength requirements for graduating combat specialists. Her agility drills looked like they'd been choreographed by someone who thought gravity was a suggestion rather than a law. Throughout the demonstration, she maintained a cheerful running commentary. The key is consistency, really. 30 minutes a day keeps you healthy, but an hour is better if you can manage it. I know everyone's busy, but you've got to make time for your health, Korvax watched his Academy's physical training standards become laughably inadequate in real time. This is normal for your species? He asked, already knowing the answer but needing to hear it anyway. I mean, I'm in decent shape, Charlotte said, not even breathing hard after what would have hospitalized most cadets. Not like Olympic level or anything. Earth's got athletes who make me look lazy. She grinned. My brother runs ultramarathons. Now that guy's serious about fitness. 100 miles through. Mountain terrain? I tap out at 50. Lirana had abandoned her scanner entirely and was scrolling through Earth's environmental data with the focus of someone searching for answers in a crisis. Gravity 1.4 times standard, she muttered. Oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere at pressures we'd classify as extreme. Predator species including apex hunters weighing up to 6,000 kilograms. She looked up. Your planet is classified as a death world by our habitability metrics. Is it? Charlotte seemed genuinely surprised. I mean, sure, there are some dangerous animals, and weather can be rough sometimes. But it's home, She paused, though I guess the whole everything trying to kill you thing did shape our evolution quite a bit. Explain, Zilax commanded, his hologram leaning forward intently. Charlotte shrugged, grabbing a water bottle, one of the Academy's emergency hydration units designed for week-long survival situations. She drained half of it in one go. Humans are persistence predators. Back before we developed tools, we'd hunt by literally running prey animals to death. We're not the fastest or the strongest, but we don't stop. Ever. We just keep going until whatever we're chasing collapses from exhaustion. Jotaro, who had been sitting on the floor in stunned silence, finally spoke. Your planet tried to kill you, so you evolved to be unkillable? More like we got really good at not dying, Charlotte corrected with a laugh. Persistence hunting, tool use, social cooperation. We adapted to survive pretty much anything Earth threw at us, and Earth threw a lot. She set down the water bottle. Ice ages, droughts, predators, food scarcity, you name it. We're basically the cockroaches of Earth, except with better communication skills. Korvax was accessing Earth's historical database, scrolling through humanity's recorded conflicts. The sheer volume of warfare was staggering. Thousands of years of nearly continuous conflict, weapons development, tactical innovation. Your species engaged in combat constantly, he observed, for millennia. Yeah, Charlotte admitted, her tone growing more serious. We're not proud of a lot of our history. Lots of fighting, lots of pain, but we learned from it eventually. Figured out that cooperation works better than conflict. She brightened again. Which is why I teach fitness now instead of military combat or whatever. Helping people stay healthy is way more rewarding than hurting them. Lirana pulled up more data, her expression somewhere between fascinated and horrified. Your species participates in recreational activities classified as extreme sports. Jumping from aircraft, climbing sheer rock faces, racing vehicles at fatal velocities, all for entertainment. Yeah, we like pushing limits, Charlotte agreed cheerfully. It's kind of our thing. If something seems impossible, we'll definitely try it just to see if we can make it work. She grinned. Keeps life interesting. Your fitness instruction would qualify as advanced military conditioning here, Lirana said slowly. What you call basic health maintenance exceeds our special forces training protocols. Charlotte's eyebrows shot up. Really? This is just basic health stuff. 30 minutes a day, keeps you moving, maintains cardiovascular health and muscle tone. She looked around at the assembled aliens with genuine concern. Are you guys okay? Because if your fitness standards are this low, we should probably talk about implementing better wellness programs. I could put together some beginner routines that— No! Multiple voices shouted simultaneously. 3 weeks after the incident, as it was now officially designated in Academy records, Charlotte stood at the front of Training Hall 7, surveying her first official class. The room had been hastily retrofitted with Earth-standard equipment. Pull-up bars, kettlebells, resistance bands, and floor mats that could actually support repetitive impact exercises. 30 cadets from 17 different species sat before her, their expressions ranging from eager to terrified. Welcome to human baseline conditioning, Charlotte said cheerfully, pulling her hair into a ponytail. Today, we're starting with a simple warm-up, nothing crazy. From the observation deck above, Korvax leaned against the reinforced glass. She's going easy on them, isn't she? Lirana didn't look up from her datapad where she was already preparing medical override codes. Those exercises would hospitalize most species without proper conditioning. Yes, Commander, this is her easy routine. 20 minutes later, half the class was sprawled on the mats, breathing heavily. Jotaro, who'd insisted on attending despite his still healing injuries, had made it through 7 of the 20 jumping jacks before his legs gave out. That's great progress, everyone, Charlotte encouraged, not even slightly winded. Let's move on to the core work. Just 10 minutes of planks and crunches. A Vorthian cadet raised one trembling appendage. Instructor, how long is your species minute? Same as yours, Cadet Vexthor. Why? Just confirming. Charlotte demonstrated a proper plank position, her body perfectly straight, holding the position while continuing to lecture about proper breathing techniques. She maintained the pose for 3 full minutes, longer than most species could manage even fresh, before flowing smoothly into mountain climbers. Remember, form is more important than speed, she called out, then casually reached up and snatched a scanner bolt that had gone wild from the aerial combat drill 3 levels up. Keep your core tight, Jotaro, and watch your 6, there's always something. She caught another bolt without looking. Coming at you. Anyway, 10 more reps. In the observation deck, Korvax made another note on his datapad. Below him, Charlotte had moved on to teaching proper squat form, demonstrating the movement with a barbell loaded with enough weight to buckle most species' skeletal systems. For her, it was a light warm-up set. The human is recruiting, one of Korvax's aides reported, pulling up hollow feeds from across the galaxy. 3 different military organizations have made contact with Earth's governing bodies in the past week alone. And Earth's response? Polite refusal from their diplomatic corps. They've stated they have no interest in joining galactic conflicts. They do, however, want to discuss educational and cultural exchanges. The aide paused. One human diplomat apparently said they like a good challenge, but prefer it to be the fun kind. Korvax watched Charlotte spot-check a Chronari cadet's push-up form, while simultaneously correcting another student's breathing pattern and catching a third scanner bolt. Revise human combat ratings, extreme physical threat category, approach with extreme caution. And note, most humans apparently consider this recreational activity. By the end of the 2-hour session, every cadet had a new appreciation for the term baseline. Charlotte, meanwhile, looked exactly as fresh as when she'd started. Great first class, everyone! She beamed at the exhausted, sprawling mass of cadets. Same time tomorrow. Oh, and I'm teaching evening yoga at 1900 hours if anyone wants to work on flexibility and recovery. Jotaro, flat on his back and staring at the ceiling, managed to form words. After everything today, you're teaching another class. Well, yeah, gotta stay balanced. Charlotte grabbed her water bottle and towel. Physical fitness is only part of wellness. You need mental clarity, flexibility, proper rest, good nutrition. It's a whole lifestyle thing. As she headed toward the door, Korvax intercepted her in the corridor. The Academy is officially updating all training protocols, Instructor Charlotte. Your human baseline conditioning program is now our highest difficulty setting, reserved for elite special operations candidates. Charlotte laughed. Commander, that was literally my beginner routine, but sure, whatever works for you guys. She waved goodbye, still casually holding a scanner bolt she'd forgotten to return to the training armory, and headed off toward the wellness center. Korvax watched her go, then pulled up the Academy's entire physical training database. With a few keystrokes, he added a new notation to every combat simulation, every endurance test, every physical challenge in the curriculum. Human baseline. Approach with humility. Behind him, through the observation glass, the cadets were still trying to stand up.